Hey, welcome to the Cowboy Shot. This is our official first episode. My name is Choi. That guy's Dario Ramos. I'm not going to let him speak. Our guest today is Alex Brooks. He's a writer, director, filmmaker based in LA, and we're going to watch his short and talk about his short, Big Take. And here we go.
I come from a family that are big movie people. My parents weren't in the industry or anything like that, but they're artists in their own right. My mom does like scrapbooking and stuff like that.
Love.
My dad does stuff with his hands, but not movie people exactly, but we watched a lot of movies growing up. So I think that was the biggest part of it, is just having a family where that was a big thing. On Friday night, we would sit down together and watch a movie.
Would you go to like the Blockbuster? Like
oh yeah, love Blockbuster, man. As soon as Netflix came out and they had the discs that they would send you in the mail, we signed up for that. It was awesome. But
was there like a rotation of a specific movie that you love that you always got?
This is kind of embarrassing, but on Friday nights, like I said, we would do violent movie nights. It was the night where we could watch like, a grown-up movie. So we would watch like Terminator or Predator and stuff like that.
Your parents were cool like that.
They were cool. I mean, you could say maybe they were bad parents for letting us watch stuff like that, but I always said they skipped to the good stuff. We didn't have to watch kids' movies. I got straight to the good stuff. But it was a lot of fun. And so that's mainly what we watched was action movies. I grew up with two brothers, and so you have three boys, and it's all G.I. Joes and action movies and stuff like that. And
did you guys like make movies growing up, the three of you? Me
and my brothers not so much, but I had some friends in elementary school who were also big movie buffs, and they had like I can't remember exactly what kind of camera it was, but like a tape recorder thing.
Right.
So we would spend the night at each other's houses.
Oh, like a camcorder?
Something like that. And at first we would just make remakes of movies that we liked. I think the first one we did was like the first Saw movie. And we just did it in our friend's garage, and we had like a fake Halloween prop foot. Like I think somebody cuts their foot off or something at some point. We didn't know how to edit, so we just edited in camera. We would record, stop, and record, stop, and record, stop.
Okay.
And after watching that, after it was done, it was just, I don't know. It was
you think
like
that tape is still out there?
I don't know. I
actually
actually
in a garage sale, someone grabs it.
I know.
It's like a snuff film of elementary kids.
If they watched it, it would be pretty sketch. But no, I was actually just back home recently and was talking to my friend that I did that with, and apparently he has a bunch of stuff we did on like an SD card.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, please send me all that stuff. I would love to see it.
Sick, yeah.
But that's kind of what started it, is just being at your friend's house, just making stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just a ton of fun. So
did you study film?
At the University of South Carolina, they don't really have like a film program. And to be honest, going into school, I was planning on just doing advertising, just because in South Carolina, I didn't know anyone who was in the industry. There's not a whole lot in the film industry going on there. So it was kind of like a pipe dream. So I was just like, I'll just be a professional artist and just design ads or something. I don't know. I always knew I wanted to be some sort of artist, but filmmaking didn't seem like it was a legitimate thing.
So at what point did you say filmmaking is a thing and I'm moving to LA?
Taking a chance,
Halfway through my sophomore year, I decided that after taking advertising classes and stuff like that, I was like, this isn't gonna work. But I was halfway through an advertising degree, and I loved movies, so I was like, oh, maybe I just put those two things together, and I decided I was going to be a movie trailer editor. So about halfway through my senior year, I had an internship out here at a company that makes movie trailers, and then when I graduated, I got a job out here at one of those companies and was doing that for a little while, and then I kind of got the bug again, just because, again, even at college, a lot of the people just wanted to be, cinematographers and stuff like that, and not really make movies. But when you get out here, everyone wants to be a director. Everyone wants to be a writer. So it didn't seem like
everyone's a director.
It didn't seem like that big of a dream anymore. It was like it's all around you, and everybody wants to do it. So it was like, okay. And then I was still working at the advertising company, and then COVID hit, and I had to figure out something else to do, like a lot of people. And I was like, what if I just give, production a shot and just try to go for it? So,
So how did you break into the industry?
Well, I wouldn't say I've broken into the industry, but my first job in production, because that's the route I figured I would take, is just I'd never been on a set before. I really didn't know how they worked. And at the time, honestly, I was a little naive. I was like, oh, just start as a PA and then just work my way up to director, because I thought that's how it worked. But I started working on sets as a PA, and my first gig I ever got, I drove a camera truck full of equipment from West Hollywood all the way up to Coolin, Idaho, which is about 30 miles from the Canadian border.
Damn, they gave you a hard one off the bat, yeah.
It was for some indie movie called, I think it was called Outpost, but
that's sick.
Yeah, it was honestly a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was my first gig, so I was like, oh, I'm going to drive there in 2 days. I had it all mapped out. And
were
actually,
you driving by yourself?
I was by myself. I picked up the cargo van, loaded all the equipment, and then drove up there and stayed in somewhere in Oregon the first night, and then the second night where they were shooting. And it's actually how I met John Scott, who was starred in my short film. That's how we first met. He had a small part in the movie, and we really hit it off. And I don't know, we just thought we clicked. He was a really cool guy, and we kept in touch afterwards. And then, but yeah, that was my first gig. It's just a camera truck BA. Yeah. But I went there, dropped everything off, stayed the night, and then came all the way back in 2 days. So that was my first gig.
That's usually like the best parts of being on set is the people that you meet and like the community that you build. Every set feels like a family.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, towards the end.
I would totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, you could use them later. I mean, I'm not. All right, I'm making myself not seem like a good guy right now.
It's only about the money. It's only about.
No, I mean, to be fair, it's right. I mean, the people you work with on set, usually it's a grind. Everyone's you're waking up super early in the morning. You're spending all day with each other, so you really don't have a choice but to get along with people. But I think going through stuff like that, I think you build a bond, and there are people from not necessarily that gig, but the first few jobs I've worked on that I still keep in touch with.
Right.
And it's a lot of fun. But I mean, at the same time, everyone's got their own dreams and aspirations, so everyone's networking at the same time. But
let me rephrase it. Not use. I mean, yes, involve them in the project, because I think everybody wants to be involved in a lot of projects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To get in, put their hands on something.
Right.
And that's But.
Yeah, I think everyone is expecting that. I think everyone is going, okay, everyone has their own projects and stuff that they want to work on.
For sure.
So when did you direct your first short? Or
well, technically, I would say this is like the first short that I did legitimately, where I wrote it, edited it, and treated it like a professional shoot. But as far as shorts go, like short films, probably in college is when I would say it got a little bit more professional and not just me and my friends hanging out making something.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably in school. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, nice. So the film we're about to see is Big Take. You shot it with a 16 millimeter with film. Wow. Okay. That's pretty.
Yeah,
that's ambitious. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, I didn't shoot it. I had a cinematographer. His name's Fio Karpenko. Super talented guy. I highly recommend everyone checking him out.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Fio. Thanks, buddy. But no, growing up, every movie that I watched, before I knew different lenses and different formats to shoot on, I always noticed that whenever there was a movie where I was like, I love the way that movie looks, I would look it up, and it was always had two common denominators. One of them was it was shot on film, and the other was it was shot on anamorphic Panavision lenses. And I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on Panavision lenses, so I was like, okay, well, I want to shoot this on film because I'd never done that before, and I don't know, I just
would
love
you say
the way
that
it
was
looks.
like the biggest cost of this film?
I would say the crew was probably the most expensive, but that is, I feel like shooting on film is something that doesn't happen a lot because it is kind of expensive. It's a lot easier just to kind of check the box and say, okay, we can't afford to shoot on film. Because I think on this, we used 3 rolls of film, and to buy them, to get them developed, and then to scan them, it was about a little under $500 per roll.
Okay.
So I obviously haven't compared that to what it would cost to shoot on digital, but it's expensive. But to me, it's worth it. And
Do you think you will always shoot on film?
I would like that to kind of be my thing.
Right? The answer is always,
I would like, after doing it once, it's like a drug. It's
right.
like, it's on set. I don't know. It brings a certain amount of, I don't know, legitimacy to what you're doing. You know, it's not like we can just shoot all day or whatever. It's kind of like, okay, we only have so much feet of film that we can shoot on. So you as a director, you have to be disciplined. You got to know exactly what you want. You have to be very regimented in how you structure your shoot. But it's super exciting because you don't get to see it right away. I mean, you can have like a digital capture of the viewfinder, but I don't know. It's kind of like you're rubbing your hands together after. It's like waiting for Christmas or something like that to get your scans back, and then when you finally do, I don't know. It's just a lot of fun, and to me, it was completely worth it. And I would love to do it every single time, but we'll see.
Definitely.
But yeah,
cool. Let's take a look at it, and we can still talk over it.
Okay.
We're gonna get the audio. All
Can I ask how much did it cost to
the whole thing? Rough estimate, probably a little under $10,000 from start to finish, which is a lot of money. But again, a lot of that was the crew and then the film,
right?
And then getting other artists in post-production to help me out with it. But yeah,
I mean, it already looks beautiful. You could tell the film just enhances it way more.
That last shot at the corner, was the camera guy in the in a car or?
Yeah. So for the moving shots, it was an idea by Fio, my cinematographer. We just got a U-Haul pickup truck and then just had the camera in the back, and then I had on a little headset and I was driving. And then we just, again, it was his idea. It was great. I was just kind of like, we can just put you in the back seat. And he was like, no, we got to do it like this. But this is our a laundry room at my old apartment complex that I used to live. And
did you have to get permission, or were you like, YOLO,
I did. I was actually working as an office PA at the time when I was making this for a feature, and the rental company wasn't getting back to me, so I was on a run one day and just happened to be by their office, and I stopped in, and they knew exactly who I was. They were like, "Oh yeah, we've been getting your emails," and in my head I was like, "Then why haven't you been answering me?" But they put me in this conference room, and like the head of the company came in, and I was like, "Whoa!" I think they were worried that I was like some big time director who was trying to cheat them out of money. But I was like, I used to live there, and then they couldn't find me right away, so they thought I was lying about that. And then it came down to, like I said, they didn't want to be ripped off out of a bunch of money, which I can understand and have some big production roll in. But they were worried about their tenants, and they were like, they're not going to have their laundry room for 2 days.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do about that? And as soon as I told them, I was like, hey, I'll keep a bag of quarters on set, and if someone comes in wanting to do their laundry, I was like, here, sorry, we're using it right now, but you can go do your laundry down the street at a laundromat. And they're like, okay, you seem like a normal guy.
And then when you
planned for everything.
Yeah. I didn't have a producer. It was all me for everything. Wow. So it was a lot to deal with. But the day before we shot, I was probably the most nervous I'd ever been in my entire life, just because it was so much stuff to have to prepare for. But as soon as we started rolling and everything was going smoothly, I went from the most nervous I've ever been to the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. So
I mean, all the work happens in like pre-production.
For sure. It's like I said, with shooting on film, it's all about planning out, so you don't run into anything. And
how did you find your cinematographer? Did you go on Backstage or any of those?
No, I was actually planning on shooting it myself, which I was pretty nervous about. I've never been a big camera guy, really. And I never shot on film before, so I was looking up not 8mm cameras, but like old home video 16mm cameras.
Let's do it again.
And there was this one called the Krasnogov K3 or something like that. It's like old Russian 16mm home video camera, and I was watching YouTube how-to videos on it, and this one guy, I can't remember the YouTuber's name, but he had Fio on as an interpreter for this Russian guy who sold these cameras. And in the video, it's like a quick thing. He's like, oh, Fio's a cinematographer. He lives in LA. Check him out. So it's like, oh, sweet. Maybe this guy can help me out. And I looked him up on Instagram, and I really liked his stuff. And he said that he owned one of these cameras that I was thinking about using. So I was like, okay, like I'll hit this guy up. And quickly he convinced me. He's like, you don't want to use one of these cameras. Like, they're cool for like little shoots, but doing like a film shoot, I wouldn't recommend it. But it really just came from, honestly, that looking up how this camera worked and how shooting on 16 millimeter would work. And
I mean, YouTube,
I discovered him.
Right? You found your cinematographer on YouTube. We found you on YouTube.
Yeah, seriously.
The power of the internet, just,
for sure.
putting us all together.
For sure. Shout out to YouTube too.
Yeah, shout out YouTube. But yeah, that's awesome. So in pre-production, how big was your crew?
So it was me, Theo, my cinematographer, Pasha, our AC, John Laverman, our gaffer grip, and then I was originally going to have one of my friends be a PA, but he called me the night before when he was out drinking, and he saw the call time I sent out. And he was like, "Buddy, I'm not going to make it." So I was like, "Okay." So, but it worked out. We really didn't need him until later in the day, but he was a trooper. He's the guy who went and got the U-Haul pickup truck that we shot with. Yeah. He's actually got a little cameo in the movie right at the beginning. There's that shot where John Scott comes around the corner. He was kind of our lookout for the intersection to make sure no cars were coming through.
Did you have to permit this whole area, or did you just guerrilla film this?
I permitted the laundry room because that's where we spent most of our time shooting. And I didn't want some police officer to roll up and shut us all down when I'm paying all this money and I'd planned all this stuff out. This is the shot I was talking about. If you look on the left side of the screen, there's a guy standing in the middle of the road. That was him.
Yeah, that works.
Most people don't notice it, but that's my buddy Charlie. Shout out to him. He's got a producer credit on this. But back to your other question. I permitted the laundry room because, like I said, we were going to be shooting there most of the day. But all the stuff with the foot chase and on the street and stuff like that was completely the guerrilla. And we got really lucky. I think people were kind of freaked out because obviously I was wearing a police uniform and so was this other actor. Okay. And I don't know. And maybe people got people didn't call the cops or something because they maybe thought we were cops. Yeah. But I was something else I prepared for was can I get in trouble for impersonating a police officer for wearing this? But as long as I wasn't trying to arrest people and stuff, we were good. Right. But no, we got really lucky. There was one cop who drove by us when we were shooting the opening shot in that intersection because we just had the camera sitting in the middle of the intersection. And they just looked at us and then just kept on driving. And
I can't deal with this now.
Oh, yeah. I was like, thank you, guys. Maybe they're just used to that because it's LA. But, I mean, shout out to those officers for not shutting us down.
But did you have any lighting gear, big lighting gear during those intersections?
We did. I would love to be able to tell you what exactly we used, but it was basically all Theo telling us. We had a tech scout at this location, and he took note of everything and showed up with the perfect equipment. We did have some. We had again, I'm not sure what kind of light it is, but we had a big lighting setup outside through the window for that big streak of light on the wall. We had some fluorescent lights in the ceiling, some lighting tubes that he set up. And then we had something inside. I can't remember what kind of light it was, just as a fill light for the actors, but it wasn't super duper complicated. It was pretty simple.
When did you start writing the script?
Back in 2021, I actually had a dream that was basically this. I was running through Coney Island, where I'd never been before, and was running from the police, jumped in an empty hot dog stand to hide, and then this other guy jumped in, and because it was a dream, I just knew that it was a criminal.
Right. Yeah.
And we were just hanging out in there waiting for them to leave, and then I woke up, and I was like, oh, that'd be a great start to the movie.
That's awesome, yeah.
So I tried to write a feature out of that with that as the opening scene, and to be honest, the feature was just not good. And I let my buddy Charlie read it, the guy who was the PA on this and has basically been through the whole process with me. He read it and he was like, I would just focus on one scene and really try to carve that out. So I went back to the seed that was planted with the first scene and wrote a first draft of it, and he thought it was great. And
it doesn't mean that you couldn't turn this into a feature too.
Right, but I guess I was trying to avoid something I noticed with a lot of short films where it almost feels like a proof of concept for something, you know what I mean? And I wanted this to feel like a short film, something that had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it didn't end on a cliffhanger or something like that. Yes. So the original draft ended like the dream did, where it ends with them just sitting in the laundry room, and a lot of people were like, oh, so is this like kind of what you're saying, like a proof of concept for something bigger? And I was like, no. So I had to kind of build it out from there to give it some finality. But I woke up that day, I think that was April of 2021. And then spent a whole, I don't know, probably a year trying to write other shorts and everything. And I came back to it in 2022. And I think that was when the ball started to kind of get rolling for the whole project.
How many drafts did you go through, or was it just like...
Off the top of my head, I mean, probably a lot, but it probably didn't need to be that many. I'm kind of a stickler for that stuff. Maybe it was from my time working in movie trailers where they were very regimented in how they, like, even if you made any changes, you had to save a new copy of whatever you were cutting. So I did the same thing with my script. So if I changed like a couple details, I would just save a new version and just put the date for that day. So
I don't delete anything.
Exactly. Just like, I don't know why. I've never had to go back and
I put a period here and I'll save it right now.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is monumental. I might need to go back and change something.
Exactly.
Even though I probably didn't. But in reality, it was probably more like 4 or 5 drafts. But there were a lot of...
Do you have a specific way of titling each draft? Because he just makes new titles for every single draft. I'm like,
oh, really? How do you do it?
I don't know.
I just changed it. It was like this one off the African horn, and there's like some
you should
other
do
ones.
off the African horn 1, 2, 3,
No,
or even go by date. But it's just every single time
Woman pushed.
it's a whole new title.
What you changed? Oh, that's interesting. That's a cool way to put it.
This is the one that's like, okay, I put this. The woman pushed off in here. And the other one's this. And
that would be cool to go back and look at. Like, oh yeah, that was the one where that happened. But no, mine's much less interesting. It's just the date of whatever.
That's smarter.
That's way, because then I'm like, I don't know when I wrote this or when I did that. But
right.
That's cool. Why I love this film so much, the short, is it's like you said, it's self-contained. It hits all the beats. You don't even need that much dialogue. Everyone gets it. The connection they have, like, that's really like...
Yeah, and you say so much with so little. Yeah. And this is like, we were talking about this, like a lot of short films, especially ones that are short like this, like just feels like a vibe and not really a story.
Yeah. Right.
And I love that you have like all the beats.
Yeah.
And like you said, like it like you wanted it to feel not like a proof of concept, but that it's a finalized like story, succinct in itself, and it really feels that way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I also have to admit that I'd never really thought of myself as much of a writer that would ever be something that I would be known for. I think the main reason why is, for some reason, just whenever I try to write dialogue, it always just sounds terrible.
Yes.
So
our last guest was great at dialogue.
Yeah, because she is a writer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we were like, can you give us help? And she was like,
it just
write it.
It's just like whatever that secret sauce is. It's always like the same way when I text people or email people. It's always very, I don't know, modular. I'm like, everything's got to be spelled correctly, and I'm trying to get exactly what I try to get across. So I think
I'm seeing a lot of similarities.
Yeah, it just sounds kind of robotic when you say it out loud. Yeah. So I was just trying to avoid dialogue at all costs. And the way I try to think about it is, it's like a last resort. Is if someone has to say something to tell the audience what's going on, I try to use that as a last resort and try to use action or movement or anything else to tell the story besides dialogue. So that's basically where that came from. And also it saved us money because we didn't have to do sync sound. Yeah. So that was nice. But that's kind of where it came from. But I'm glad you guys picked up on it.
Do you feel like being a trailer editor helped you write shorts?
I think it helped me, especially with short form filmmaking like this. It helped a bunch. With my older stuff, I used to do a lot of my own sound design and music editing and stuff like that. As a trailer editor, they have professionals that will kind of take it from your final draft, I guess, of the cut of the trailer and fill out all those details. But it's kind of your responsibility, all the sound effects, all the whoosh, all that stuff, you kind of have to do yourself. So at a basic level, I could do a lot of the first cut of a short. I have a pretty strong understanding of what I want sound-wise and audio-wise and stuff like that, which helps a lot when you're working with other artists, sound designers and stuff like that. But it for sure helped me. I wouldn't say I'm good enough at any of those things to be a professional in any of them.
I was just going to ask you.
No, I don't think I'll ever. I don't think I'll ever be an editor, or I'll ever be, a sound designer or a sound editor or anything like that. But I think I know enough about those things where I can kind of get it to a place where I can give it to someone else and they know kind of where I'm trying to go with it, and I can kind of give them good enough notes on what I want. But I don't think I'd ever be a professional in any of those aspects, I guess. But yeah, it
So,
definitely helped.
How long was pre-production, production, and then post?
Pre-production, I mean, as far as when I had the script ready to go and then started to get a crew together, that probably took a few months. I would say less than 6 months, more than 2. I don't really have a good memory on exact dates, but production was 2 days, and then post-production took a long time because I'm a lot more aware of my own limitations of what I was just talking about with sound design and stuff like that. But at the time, my plan was, I'll just do everything. I'll just sit down and, have no social life and just bang this short out.
Right.
That's what everybody thinks, yeah.
And then you start doing it and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know anything about sound editing or mixing, but so that took a long time. We shot the short way back in the end of 2022, and then post-production probably took a year because, again, I didn't have a good plan in place, and I kind of realized, okay, I need some help on this.
Right.
So I would have to work a little bit to save up to pay for voice actors, or, I had to save up a little bit to pay for a sound designer. I had to, so it was kind of like a go, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but almost like a pay-as-you-go kind of thing. Like I was kind of just developing it as time went on, I guess. But yeah, so all in all, it was probably a little over a year. But yeah, sorry.
A little over a year.
Did you raise money for this film or all out of pocket?
No, it was all out of pocket. I have never been a good fundraiser, but specifically with short films, I mean, I didn't think there was going to be a good investment for people. So I didn't feel comfortable going to people and saying, hey, I'm going to make this short film that's not going to make you any money, but you could give me money to
makes my dreams come true.
Right.
Yeah. So
you can watch me have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought it would be kind of instead of going to, I don't know, going to school again and getting a graduate's degree or something like that.
Right.
I was like, why don't I just make a movie myself and kind of use that as my own school?
Yes.
So that's kind of how I justified it. But yeah, no, hopefully next time I can kind of convince people to give me some money for stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think especially now that you have like this short to show people.
To show what you have and what you can do. I mean, it made me contact you immediately, or Sally contact you. I was like, Sally, go contact this guy.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Well,
what
thank you.
Sec. Let me do this camera trick real quick.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys been enjoying it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? You guys think you're permanent podcasters now?
Something like that.
We'll see. Yeah,
we'll
as we
see.
go.
Yeah.
I would hope so. This is like a lot of fun. We've been meeting a lot of new people.
Yeah. I don't see any negatives with it right now. Like, we have them over at our house.
Yeah, we haven't had any crazy people over our house.
Yeah,
That's
we
nice.
get to meet like new filmmakers. We
Yeah.
make connections through that. We talk about film. Like, there's no negatives about it. Why just stop
Except
there?
us fighting.
Except us fighting creatively about what decisions we should do and
Yeah.
everything. But I think that's just always working with someone.
Right.
Do you have like a writing partner or anybody that you always want to be there on your side?
For sure. Like I said, my buddy Charlie Crook, he was actually the guy I met in college. He's originally from out here. He's from Orange County and was going to the University of South Carolina. And we kind of had similar plans. He was in advertising school, and we met in class. And again, we just kind of hit it off, and we were just best friends. But he switched his major from advertising to creative writing. And I don't know, I felt like it kind of gave me permission to do that. I was like, well, if he's doing it, then I guess I can do it.
Right.
So that's when I kind of made the decision to move out here, because I didn't know anyone in California originally.
Yeah.
And just knowing one person, I was like, okay, at least I'll have like one friend out here. But yeah, Charlie is probably the one person who was from the whole creative process from start to finish. So I'll always appreciate my buddy Charlie. Shout out to him too.
Shout out Charlie.
But yeah, no, he's a super talented writer, and it's always nice to have someone who will give it to you straight. If you write something, They're not going to sugarcoat it. They can just tell you like
someone who you trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't have yes men around you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's someone I always send my stuff to, and he'll send his stuff to me, and we just.
That's good. Yeah,
I think we're that kind of the no man, I guess, for each other. Yeah,
that's awesome. Let me ask you this question: was there any problem that made you think that you weren't going to be able to make this?
Well, I think just after writing it, I was like, hopefully people want to make this.
Right.
That was probably the biggest thing. But honestly, people seem to react to the script and enjoy it. And I think people just thought it would be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So after we made it, I think the biggest thing, like I said, was it just felt like you could always see the light at the end of the tunnel through post-production. But after you make that first cut and you're like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. And you show it to people and they go, yeah, it's good. Yeah. And you can feel behind their words what they're saying. Like it's not good, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's not good. So not so much that I wasn't going to be able to make it, but that it ended up just being terrible, I guess, is what I was the most afraid of. But
did you apply to any film festivals or did you go straight to YouTube?
I did. After I finished post-production, probably at the end of last summer, I started sending it out to festivals and stuff like that because a lot of the ones I was sending it to had premiere status things where it can't be online and can't be at other festivals and stuff like that. So I sent it out to a few, and that was another thing. It was nice because some of the festivals would give you feedback if you didn't make it in, and it was always really positive, but it didn't get into any of the festivals I applied it to.
Really?
So I was, a little disappointed. And again, it was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh, maybe this isn't that. People aren't really responding to this.
That's crazy.
I loved it.
Well, thank you. And it's been nice getting a response online, but when I put it on YouTube, I wasn't expecting anything at all. I was like, maybe this will get, a couple hundred views, maybe 1,000, who knows? But so it's been nice getting at least a little bit of people going, oh yeah, this is nice. And not that it's like confirmation or anything like that, but I made it as something. I made it for an audience, and that was the biggest reason I wanted to go to a film festival, is just to watch it with a live audience. So I was a little disappointed that I couldn't do that, but I guess the next best thing is people wild. In the comments section. So
that's wild because you're what, like under a minute, 4 minutes. I mean, on like 3:56.
Right.
That's like a sweet spot for like short film festivals. Like they would put you
anywhere.
In any,
you can just slot them in.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping it'd be like, hey, it's only 3 minutes. You can you can put it in this whenever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
they missed out.
Well, I think it wasn't what they were looking for. I think with a lot of film festivals, the audiences that they have that go to those, they're looking for something, I guess, a little more boutique, something very original, specific voices from the directors.
I was going to say something, but I probably shouldn't. It's missing a little.
Well, I was trying to emulate a lot of the action movies and stuff I watched when I was a kid, popcorn movies. And I don't think people exactly go to a film festival to see a popcorn movie. So no ill will towards the film festivals or anything like that. Totally. I literally just don't think it was what they were looking for. And I think maybe it was supposed to end up on YouTube all along. Because like I said, it was made for an audience and, mass entertainment, I guess. So, yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you were living there, did you know that there was like that laundry chute in the back?
I did have to do my laundry there. And every time I stepped in there, it was always kind of creepy, but I always thought it was super interesting and might be a cool spot for a movie just because there's like random paint smears on the wall and there's this turquoise trim and stuff like that. It just has a lot of texture and color in there.
Yeah.
That was just there. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But, I don't know if it is super obvious, but right outside of there's 2 massive dumpsters that were filled with trash. And when you're filming in August in LA, it's kind of like just an oven for all the garbage in there.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing I was worried about. But every morning before we shot, I would go to Home Depot and get like a deodorizer. And it's just this big jug of this liquid. And you just open it up and just pour it all over everything, and then the scent kind of just goes away.
Nice.
Okay. So that was nice. But doing my laundry there every day for about a year, I I don't know. Every time I was in there, I was like, this is a really interesting space. But
Yeah, it is interesting.
That usually happens, like for short films, like for us too. We shot ours in our backyard. We're always like looking out for specific places to shoot at.
Yeah,
for
something
sure.
that catches your eye, or like this is neat.
That can
I wish like
inspire
a story
story.
unfolded right here, to capture what it could capture. Go ahead.
This is what I was going to ask before. So me and Dario are both from LA. So I'm always curious, like what it's like for someone not from LA moving here, and like what's like your, like I just like want to know how was it?
Right. I love it here. It's like I said earlier before we started recording, I grew up somewhere out in the middle of nowhere in rural South Carolina, basically, and so it's so different from where I grew up that I don't know. I just think it's super interesting, and there's just always something going on, and the people here are, I would say it's a lot different. Yeah, it's when you go back to South Carolina, I like to say there's like a polite hesitation everywhere that you go. So say you're in the grocery store and you're pushing your cart and someone is about to come in front of you. A lot of people in South Carolina, you would both kind of stop and you would have that little moment where you go, okay, no, you go ahead. And then, you go by. Out here, people they just go. Like you got to stay out of their way, and they got to stay out of your way. And I kind of prefer it that way. It's a little more efficient. And in South Carolina, you get a lot of, I don't want to say like fake politeness, but it's, I don't know. Out here, it's people, you kind of cut it down to the,
get to it already.
Yeah,
like,
you kind of cut the BS out of things, and I appreciate that. And but just like little differences like that is things that I enjoy. And obviously the humidity here is not as bad as South Carolina.
Right.
Really, we were just complaining about it. Like
really?
Yesterday.
I mean, it was muggy yesterday, but you get the dry here.
When I came back from South Carolina the other day and walked out of the airport, I was like, oh my God, it feels so amazing here. But no, the biggest part obviously is just the film industry as well. Like I said, when I first moved here, it seemed like everybody wants to be a director or a writer or a producer or an actor, like whatever. And I don't know, I just think it's cool. It's, you go out and talk to people and everybody has, their favorite movies. I mean, if you're ever looking for a conversation starter in LA, you just talk about movies, and most people are going to be able to hold a conversation about that.
Totally.
Yeah.
What did you get for Crafty and for lunch? That's the big question we always like to ask guests.
I am a big food person.
Okay.
I really enjoy food, so before we started, I reached out to everyone on the crew and asked, like, is there a certain thing from Crafty that you would like? And Theo, my cinematographer, had I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like these drinks, yerba mates, yerba mate, or something like that.
Yeah, like the tea.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are like energy drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
so I got him a few of those. The regular stuff, a bunch of water, some soda, juices, Gatorade, stuff like that. LaCroix, all the classics that you would get at a Crafty. Obviously, Welch's fruit snacks. Gotta
Which
get those.
box of the Lay's? Like,
oh man,
was it the original?
I had to get the
one?
OGs. You got to get the Lay's, just original potato chips, sour cream and onion, barbecue. You got to get those. But I think I also got, like, there's like a Dorito one where it has like the kind of spicy stuff. Yeah. I had to get that.
You had a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a food person.
It was right next to the dumpster.
That's where he found it all.
Luckily, again, shout out to Charlie. He let us use our old apartment, which was on the other side of the building. Okay, so we had a bathroom. We had a place where we could store our gear overnight, where we could eat lunch. Exactly. So that was nice. So I just kind of had everything laid out food-wise up there, and then we had a cooler right next to set outside the set, which was right next to a dumpster, unfortunately. But yeah, I try to make it a big thing to just get something for everybody. Yeah. So I hate going on set and you just can't really find whatever you want.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then for lunch, I was originally just going to do like Chipotle or something like that.
Yeah.
But some of the guys on the crew were like, don't do that. They're going to skimp you out on some of the portions.
Yeah,
so I was like, okay.
Really?
So I think we did Zanku chicken the first day.
Zanku chicken.
And then I think we did.
Is that like Mediterranean?
I think so. Yeah. It's it's like chicken shawarma and
I
stuff
love
like that.
Mendocino. You got like sandwiches for everyone?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The pork belly banh mi.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So good.
We have, like, doing this podcast, you ask them, like, what'd you get for lunch?
We always just get
Then
hungry.
you realize, I could go there after this podcast.
That's what
and
happened
eat that,
yesterday.
yeah.
Or not yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago with the other guest.
Pork belly
Yeah.
banh mi does sound good right now.
It'll hit.
But yeah.
Let's see. Where'd you find your actors? I know you said you
Ooh.
met one when you were PAing.
Yes. John Scott I met on that first shoot. I knew I wanted to work with professional actors on this. So I originally was just looking around at local theater productions that were going on.
Smart.
I was looking on backstage, right?
Yeah, backstage. Yeah.
Yeah, backstreets, yeah. No, I was looking on backstage, had some people apply, but I wasn't finding the right person.
Right, yeah.
But for the supporting role, the guy in the yellow jacket, his name's Noah Bridgestock, super talented actor. I found him. He was doing a local theater production, and just reached out to him on Instagram. And he didn't respond for the longest time. And I was like bummed. I was like, oh man, I thought this guy would be perfect for this role. So I was kind of shopping around to a few other people, and he finally responded. And apparently the play that he was doing, it requires him to have his shirt off during the play.
Oh.
And so he has a lot of people hitting him up after the play in his DMs on Instagram.
Wow.
For a little
Yeah,
natty.
exactly. So
that's hilarious.
my message kind of got lost in the shuffle, and then he finally found it one day. And
Shirts on?
yes, exactly. No
in my
skin
rider.
in this movie. But yeah, he read the script. He loved it. He was super down. And once I had those two guys, it felt legit.
Yeah. So you found him at a local theater.
I didn't actually go see his play. I was just looking up local theater productions, and then they usually had the
never
actors listed.
Thought of that.
And yeah, I just was looking at people's websites and reels and stuff like that.
It's
and I
a
found
great
him.
way to find actors
Yeah.
to do what you just did. Just go to the local theater and everything.
Because we've
like that.
done the
We've
backstage.
done backstage stuff, and you get a
And
lot
you're
of.
right. It's a mixed bag in there.
Yeah.
it's a lot.
I mean, there are probably a lot of super talented people
Totally,
on backstage, but there were also just
It's
like
just
a
a
lot
lot
of
of filtering you have to do.
yeah, like a lot of high school kids who were like, I'd be perfect for this. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I'm
sorry,
a
buddy.
30-year-old detective.
Yeah,
Hard-nosed
exactly. So I was like, but yeah, I like I said, I knew I wanted to work with professional actors. So I was like, I guess I got to find some professional productions that are going on. So yeah.
How did you communicate with them? Because this was your first time directing, or it wasn't your
Yeah.
first time, but were you kind of scared? How did you approach
Yeah,
them?
like I said, when I wrote the script, I was happy with it. I thought it'd be a cool idea, but you
Yeah.
never really know until other people read it. So I kind of just sent it out to them. I didn't have their emails and stuff, so it was, like I said, it was just Instagram. I just DM'd people on Instagram and sent them the script, and they responded to it. They said, "Yeah, this sounds like a lot of fun."
Mhm.
So yeah, through the whole process, before it actually happens, you're kind of worried if it's going to be a thing.
Mhm.
But people were excited about it. People were happy to be a part of it. So yeah, it
But
was fun.
specifically on set, when you told him
Mhm.
like, "Hey,
Yeah,
I
like
want you to
directing
do
the
this
actors?
slide right here. I like the slide where he goes in and all
Yeah.
that stuff." Like the kind of style that they both had, where you said, like, did you tell him like, "I kind of want you to kind of play this character more of like a cooler version of like maybe in a few years you'll be like him."
Right.
If you keep up on that same track or trajectory.
It was actually in the script originally. There wasn't an age difference between them, but
Mhm.
when I casted John Scott and then casted Noah, that was obviously a part of it.
Mhm.
So we kind of shifted the characters to kind of fit that story. But the reason why I wanted to work with professional actors is because I'm not a kind of director that's likes to be super hands-on. I kind of just like to let the actors kind of do their thing. And the way I think about it is I'm hiring, a cinematographer to do everything with the camera and everything visual.
Mhm.
Everyone has their own role. And to me, the actor's job is to create the character. And they should know more about that character than I should,
Mhm.
because, I have to worry about everything else. They have to worry about that one specific role.
Mhm.
And I wanted people who were down to do that. I guess
Right.
that they were excited to build a character. Not like this is, some feature film or something like that. It's
Totally,
pretty
yeah.
simple. But I wanted people to bring their own ideas and their own personality to the project and fill it out.
Right. Did you do rehearsals?
We did not. I thought that because there's no dialogue, that going into the laundry room or something like that, and like we met up once and kind of went through the scene very in a basic way, but I thought that having things really choreographed with their movements and their expressions and stuff like that, it might get a little stale if we over rehearsed it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said, they're both professionals, so I thought that if we just did it on the day, that they could handle it.
Yeah, they pulled it off.
Yeah, for
they
sure.
did. I thought they did really great, and a lot of the people who have watched it have responded to their performances, and I thought they killed it. It was super fun to work with them, and I think they responded to the way that, like I was saying, I kind of let them do their thing, and obviously as a director you have to have ideas yourself, but it was fun to have them surprise me, like the scene where John Scott's character reveals the watches that he has underneath. Originally in the script it was just supposed to be one watch, and then when we met up that one day, he was like, I thought it would be a cool idea if, like, what if I had like a bunch of watches on my wrist? And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So that's the kind of stuff I was talking about, where that's something that he would be thinking about, where his character wouldn't just have one watch. He'd be a pro. He'd grab all these watches at the same time. Exactly. And then some of the moments like where, I don't know, very slight reactions that they had to have. Obviously, sometimes those, you run the risk of kind of overplaying things, but I thought they both did a really good job of keeping things subtle, but telling a lot about their characters and about themselves just through small reactions that they have. But I thought they were great. I was super happy with both of their performances.
Totally.
Do you think that, like, when you write your next stuff, that you'll always have them in mind as like your muse? Or
Right. I have thought about that. A lot of people have asked, like, what happens next after this short? And I never really wanted to do like a sequel to it, but I really enjoyed working with both of them, and I guess it would really just depend on the script. Like I said, I don't consider myself much of a writer, and if I were to try and write something specifically for those two guys, I probably wouldn't end up being very good. So it really just depends. It's on the project itself, and if they work for the characters, then I would love to work with them again. But yeah.
Are you working on your next thing already?
I am. One of the things that I thought was lacking in this short, the way I described my idea to people before we made it was I was just trying to make something that was like a bubblegum short film, something that's super simple, sweet, fun, easily digestible, and then after it's not the most emotionally nutritious thing ever, but it's just fun and it doesn't overstay its welcome. But I think that kind of led to, not that it's shallow, but it doesn't have really an emotional punch to it. So in my next thing, I would like to build on what people have responded to with this, with the style and the action and stuff like that, but something that is a little more of an emotional payoff, something that's not that I'm trying to make people cry, but just something a little more wholesome,
Right.
I think we're the opposite. Our last short,
it was too much
it
emotion,
was a drama, so then I think what we would want is something more fun.
I think you have what a lot of young filmmakers, when they start out, don't have, is style.
Oh,
like you understand, like, I have a vision, I want it to be said like this, and you go for it, and it's like it's like a craftsman working on something. It's like it's easily digestible, it's like it's fun. I won't say you won't forget it like 10 hours later or whatever. I mean, it stuck with me, but I think it's like, when I look at this, it's like, man, he understood a lot what the process was, what it was going to take, and the style of it. And then just understanding that this was like your really first one. Yeah. That just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Like, literally blew my mind, because I see a lot of people who go to film school. They pay a lot of money, and then they get all this gear and all this stuff, and then when they need time to do it,
out kind of cookie cutter,
missing something, missing that essence. I don't know what it is, that secret sauce, and this has it. And I just can't wait.
Thank you
for your next project. and it's just me gushing right now.
No, I know.
And if you need help with like art department, we'd love to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that like I said, I kind of got lucky on with this short is the locations I picked kind of had a lot of texture built into them. But I've never shot anything really where I've had to have
like a set,
an
like
art
you had to
department
build
where
it,
they
yeah.
have to dress things or to build things and stuff like that. And that's really an art form that I think is kind of underrated with more low budget stuff because a lot of times you don't have the money
you don't
to
want
do
to go
it.
there. He's gonna start. He's gonna start
Yeah.
raising his
I'm gonna
voice.
start railing right now. On some
No, but
people.
I mean,
No,
but
because you're
it's,
so right.
It's true. I have to say so myself that I don't have a whole lot of experience or really any experience at all besides of just watching people work on the sets that I've been on professionally. I've never. That's a creative relationship that I have never had on set, and I would love to have a full art department on my next thing.
Totally. Yeah.
But no, that's super nice of you to say. I honestly was just trying to emulate the directors that I enjoyed when I was growing up. The commercial, but like our tour action directors,
Yes.
like Tony Scott or Michael Mann or Brian De Palma, people where you watch their stuff and you go, okay, yeah, that's a, that's a Michael Bay movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a very specific style, not to where it draws away from the story itself, but they create a world.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to do, or a vibe, like you said, or atmosphere or something like that, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But that's nice that you picked up on it and that you enjoyed it. That's awesome.
That's why we kind of do this podcast is to meet people who have like some sort of different
Like a different voice.
different voice, because I mean there's so many short films out there and we could contact all of them and they'll be happy to go on, but we're looking I'm not lying, I'm happy to be on, but I'm like thinking it's like, no, let's actually curate this, or like pick the right ones that we want to get to know. We want to understand how they got there, and pick their brain of sorts, and we're very selective on who we want to pick, and
You're making it sound so.
No,
like,
I know, prestigious and all.
I
It's like
know.
you're just gonna sit on my couch and just talk about stuff. For a
No,
bit.
I was. It's nice. It was flattering when you reached out to have me on the show. I mean, like I said, I wasn't expecting any sort of response whatsoever when I released it, and for people to just be interested in it and even want to talk about it, it's super cool. Just to make this basically what's a passion project, and for people to respond to it in any way is super fun. So I'm happy to be here. I'm honored to be here.
You go ahead, Sally. You got anything? No.
okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking, like, okay, so your writing process, like, I understand you got this from a dream and everything, but what was your writing process? Like, did you storyboard any of this or anything like that?
So I'm a big storyboard person, but that usually comes after I write. Like I said, I don't really know how to describe my process. I mean, it started, like I said, when I woke up and I just wrote down all the details I remembered about the dream, and then trying to turn that into a narrative where you're kind of filling in all those gaps that you have when you're talking to someone about your dream, and they're just like, what the hell are you talking about? You're trying to kind of connect all those dots. So it was really just trying to figure out what the core, what the emotional spine of the movie was, and I kind of just based it on, I was trying to make something about those interactions you have with just random people, like when you're walking down the street and you both see something, and you and another stranger, you kind of look at each other and you go, and you just have like a small connection. But then you kind of go your separate ways, and that's it. Yeah. So I wasn't trying to, like I said, make something where it was like, a deep love story or like a really heartfelt buddy movie. It was just like two guys who were similar, who had this small connection, and then they kind of go their separate ways. Yeah. So I started with, that was kind of the North Star of what I was trying to do. And so I kind of just took the dream and added in the genre elements of like a heist movie, for all the details with what they stole and stuff like that. And it kind of just built out from there. But as far as the writing process goes, it kind of just, you sit down and kind of go, okay, what am I trying to do? And you kind of just go from there. But
do you use like note cards or
no?
Vomit?
It's basically, I just have a notes thing on my phone, and if I have ideas for something, I'll pull that out really quick and write it down, or I'll do an outline on Final Draft or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of really I don't have like a structured way I do things. It's kind of like if I have an idea, I just kind of try to write it down before I forget it, totally. And then try to fit it into the short. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. And then also just letting people read it as much as possible and just trying to get feedback. And even if people, I mean, not everyone's going to give you super detailed notes on your script, but the way I look at it as if people are, even if they don't know how to fix something, they can tell you what needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So if you just have friends and family that know enough about movies and narratives and stuff like that, let anybody read it. And if they have notes on it, don't just, if they tell you something, don't go, that you know, whatever, and just swipe it under the rug. Every note someone gives you, try to figure out what they're trying to say. And because really at the end of the day, they're trying to help you fix your movie. Yeah. And so I just try to.
Bill Hader has something like that he
really?
said where he'll give a script to his friend, and his friend would say like, I didn't like this and I didn't like this, and Bill Hader would be like, well, they're right in a sense, like they didn't like it, they didn't get it, but once they start saying like, well, this is how you should fix it, right, completely ignore them, right. Completely just don't listen to them. They're right in the first of yes, identifying the problem, but how they're going to solve it is not going to solve it.
Most of the time, probably not. Yeah. I think I heard Rob Zombie say the same thing. He was working with a producer, and he said the same thing. He was like, this guy's super smart. He always knew what needed to be fixed, but every time he tried to figure out how to fix it, he was always wrong. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just listen to people, I guess.
Do you think you'd ever make a movie back home?
Yeah, I would love to make a movie in South Carolina.
Like
honestly,
a little love story about where you grew up and everything.
Not necessarily. I mean, I always knew that I was going to be a genre director, so obviously I would love for it to be some kick-ass action movie or something like that. Yeah. But I think that South Carolina is kind of an underrated place in general, but especially artistically and definitely cinematically. Before we started recording, I was talking about Charleston. I think I don't know how many times I've seen that place used as a location in a film. But it's a beautiful place, and there are lots of good people there. And yeah, I would love to shoot a movie there, but for the time being,
action farmer.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But no, something that didn't feel foreign to what would actually go on there. But yeah, I would love to shoot something there. I think it would be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we're going to wrap up soon, but let me ask you this question.
Sure.
What was the last thing you saw? It doesn't have to be in theaters. And what's your favorite movie?
Last thing I saw, I watched Under the Silver Lake yesterday. Oh, okay. Have you guys seen that?
I haven't seen it, but I know it has Andrew Garfield in it.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Super weird movie.
Yeah.
A friend of mine recommended it, and when they recommended it, they told me beforehand, they're like, just beware, it's super weird, and it was super weird.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that can make a movie bad is if it's boring.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't boring, so I won't say it's bad, but if you're into super wacky stuff, check it out.
Not your cup of tea.
Not necessarily my cup. I'm a big noir guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I was talking about earlier, like directors that have a specific style, and auteur directors is what I enjoy, and the style of the movie was really cool. But it was just wacky, dude. It was just a wild movie.
Yeah, it's like one of those like weird to be weird movies.
Yeah, for sure.
You're going for it.
But yeah, that was the last thing I watched. Favorite movie? That's tough.
You could do a top 5 if you want. Top 3.
Okay, top 5. I can do that. Yeah. Terminator 2: Judgment Day is up there for sure. Like I said, that was one of our go-to violent movie night movies with the family. Ocean's 11, which was a huge inspiration for this. Right, I was basically trying to do like a poor man's Ocean 11, basically. But that movie's awesome. Inception is way up there. Casino Royale.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll leave it at those. How about that? What is that?
List,
Terminator 2, Ocean's 11,
Inception, Casino Royale.
Casino Royale, yeah. That would
bad.
probably be. Yeah,
it definitely tells you.
It tells you everything you know what I like about movies. I like, obviously, action films, but just stuff that's fun. You know, they're made for an audience, and yeah, just big blockbuster action movies is my jam.
So your goal is to direct, not necessarily to write, but sometimes to write, but to direct action movies.
For sure. That's the goal. I've always known that's what I've wanted to work in since I was a kid. I've always been obsessed with action filmmaking and stuff like that. I remember when I was a kid, I was always super excited to buy the DVDs so I could watch the special features on how they did certain sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Commentary.
exactly why we're...
Yeah, exactly. No, that's why I thought this was such a good idea. I still listen to directors' commentaries and stuff like that just while I'm driving around. But yeah, it's action filmmaking, I think, is something that not a lot of people our age are super into. I don't know. I feel like it's
wild. I don't understand it.
For the longest time, I wanted to be a stunt man.
Okay,
But when I realized that a lot of those guys end up in wheelchairs and with third-degree burns and stuff like that, I was like, I don't know about this. And you usually have to have some sort of like special skill set, like martial arts or car racing and stuff like that, which I didn't really have. But I don't know. It's like it's a genre that I feel like is underappreciated. You know, they don't give out Oscars for stunts and stuff like that.
Which they should.
They should.
They should definitely.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's. I think a lot of people think of it as action as like a gimmick, you know. But to me, based on the list I just gave you, I mean, to me, the ultimate entertainment is a super engrossing action movie where obviously the action has to be well designed and shot and everything like that.
Totally.
But the best movies are when you actually care about what's going on. It's not made just for the action. It's you care about the story, you care about the characters, and that's why the action is so intense. Is because you care about the people and care about what's going on. And but yeah, basically what I want to do is those moments where you're sitting in a theater and then a super intense sequence ends, and your whole body kind of just like relaxes, and you were like, I did not realize I was so into that.
Yeah, like so tense.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to package that up and give that to people, and
that's awesome
because that's what I enjoy most about movies. So yeah,
cool.
Sick.
So how can people find you?
Look me up on YouTube, Alex Brooks Films. Look me up on Instagram on Alex Brooks Films. I don't really have a whole lot yet because, like I said, this is my first short. But hopefully I've got some more stuff coming soon.
Knocked it out of the park, man. Honestly.
Yeah, really.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on as well.
All right. Catch you guys later.
Bye.